One of my most profound experiences was actually with a mushroom and a plant, with the fungi, the fungus, reishi, and its host species, its host tree, which is the hemlock tree, specifically the eastern hemlock that grows in the Appalachian Mountains where I grew up. And growing up, I noticed there was a massive die-off, or there is a massive die-off happening in the Appalachian Mountains of the hemlock trees because of a invasive pest that's coming from Asia called the woolly adelgid that's pretty much attacking the immune system of the hemlock trees and decimating their populations. So this was a really sad thing to witness growing up in the forest ecologies of Appalachia and noticing all of these beautiful hemlock trees dead or dying. And then I started getting into mushrooms and foraging and studying different fungi's host species and learned that reishi's host species is the hemlock tree, and specifically most fungi, except for parasitic heart rot fungi, most wood-dwelling fungi need a dead tree or a decaying tree, a dying tree, in order to start decomposing and getting life force from. So reishi's host tree is the hemlock, and with the decimation of the hemlock's population due to the woolly adelgids, the reishi in Appalachia that grows on hemlock, its Latin name is Ganoderma tsugae, is really blossoming in its population and is really has quite a large population that's growing from these dead and dying hemlock trees. And just observing that and going into the forest and looking at these dead and dying hemlock trees, I would still feel this feeling of grief and sadness that the hemlocks were and are dying, but I would also feel a little bit of excitement and joy of like, oh, I might find a reishi in that area or in this habitat, and would start even looking specifically for the dead hemlocks and paying more attention to the hemlocks, trying to find that host habitat for reishi to grow. And I think there's a lot of metaphors that can be extrapolated from that relationship. But how I interpret it is really one of the archetypes of fungi and mushrooms in general, is how they make medicine out of death and decaying matter, and can help with our relationship to death and decay and decomposition, and help us to see the medicine that's on the other side of grief and death and decay.